All right. The fire or Pitta people nervous system. And what's our path, essentially? So, it's handy to know, especially when all of the things that we're going to be trying to fix in the body are subconscious, so we're not going to know what's coming up. Luckily, I've been doing that for the last 5 years, and I'm a big Pitta person. Luckily, I've got all my fire that used to go all over the place quite well refined, and most of the time, I'm more balanced, you know how it is. So, fire person, we know we've got a lot of exercise capabilities, we can just keep going, but the thing is, we've got to learn to balance ourselves. So, feel free to tune into your body and, what you've dealt with and some of the lessons you've learned, and then see how some of the activities in the diet and herbs and, lifestyle options in the future that may benefit you for other parts of your body. Because in order to strengthen and fire up our weaknesses, if we focus on our weaknesses, then our strengths already get stronger already, because we've got that covered. Sound good? Cool. All right, so what I've learned through many, many years of study and personal experience, our thoughts are through the nervous system, heavily reliant on the thyroid. So that comes down to detoxification a lot of the times. So if look, let's face it, there's very few people who have the top two chakras aligned reasonably well or awakened. So we're not really going to bother with that, because at the minute, we're still a Cheshire cat head. Yeah, Alice in Wonderland, we're pretty much separate from our bodies. I mean, we're much better at it than anybody else, like the other two body types. So we are quite well aligned, because we've got fire here, and then there's a line to fire here. That's in Ayurveda. You could call it the gut-brain connection. That's essentially the fire, because that's where the nervous system goes. But the tricky part with that is, because we've got a natural fieriness, whereas the fire element's here. So we've generally got a lot of fire going on all over the place. You know the ones? Yeah. Like anyone who plays competitive sport, anyone who's fighting, or any kind of really martial arts, generally fiery people. Because we can transform, we want to improve ourselves, we want to do something different, we want to learn new things, we want to expand. They're the only ones who really got a good shot at it, really. They're the ones who have to do a long and tricky path. Ours, almost in every case for a fire person, just here on the spine, we have a nervous system disconnection there. Big, right there. So, let's take the Tree of Life symbolism, which is essentially a perception outside of us, a replication of the nervous system. So we go from fire here, and it comes out and it sprays around like veins all over here, which is essentially the veins around the heart and the lungs. We're good at that. We've got that covered. We can exercise for a long time. We can do, quite solid activities that are quite comfortable for us. Like a friend says, hey, let's go for a swim. All right, let's do that. Just done. Feels good. Let's do it. We get you done. Because our lungs are in good condition. But the thing is, because we've got a disconnection here in the nervous system, our gallbladder and liver, this is especially in the Western world, is quite a bit overworked. And there can be quite a lot of stuck bile, which stagnant bile is the ancient Greek word for cholesterol. Cholesterol. Stagnant bile. Easy enough, right? So we can get rid of all that cholesterol garbage that we have in our Western world society, because doctors are delusional. Great healers, apparently. But they're disconnected from their heads, from their bodies. And so as a result, we can over-exercise. We can push too hard. But what are we burning? What is our fuel source? This is why we need more water and more wood. So more nature time, more swimming, more cooling down, more cooling foods, more cooling herbs, more liver flushes, more getting rid of stagnant bile. Sound familiar? Yeah, I know all about that. And of course, the other point here, when the liver is off, then what's right next to it on the nervous system is the spleen. So of course, what is the spleen like? The spleen likes its first feminine side of the nervous system, It's very feminine, it's very nurturing, it's very taking care of ourselves. It's resting, it's relaxing. How good are we at that? It's not our style, generally. For myself, I used to do, 10, 20K runs and all sorts of, outdoor activities, because I had a subconscious desire to fulfill my liver and gallbladder deficiencies, and because it was overworked. But because that was so overworked, and then I pushed and pushed and pushed, because I felt great, because I was getting rid of gunk, then my spleen was depleted. What does the spleen do? Well, the spleen's kind of handy. So I would have to exhaust myself before I'd relax and nurture myself. And then I'd tell myself that I was awesome at relaxing. I was like relaxing king. Only after I'd wasted and used all my energy. When I started to figure this stuff out and started meditating and doing some qigong practices, some nice slow practices, I got much more in tune with my body. And then I started relaxing a lot more. And by doing that, I was able to do a whole lot more activity. Not our usual style, but a fantastic lesson to learn, because when I started doing liver flashes and detoxifying and slowing down, then I got rid of so much gunk, my body was working much, much better. I could do half the training and get double the distances. It's 4 times more efficient. Very, very handy for our performance. And performance is important to us, right? We need to get shit done, and we need to do it with excellence. Ideally with more and more excellence. Refining our fire is key to that. And of course, because our nervous system messages are coming down to that particular point and then splaying out, we don't know what's going on underneath that. We feel it and we're good with our bodies, better than everyone else, but our nervous system doesn't get the subtleties of the messages back, say from the urinary tract back to our brain, because it's a bit far away. It's disconnected, short circuit, essentially. So, what does that mean? That means in our world we have to externally seek that. There's a disconnection in that nervous system circuit. We need to reconnect it. Ideally, we need to learn these lessons as quick as we possibly can, so we don't have to do it the hard way. Fine people, we're good at the hard way, aren't we? Certainly are. So we would walk around going, hey, girls, I need some water element. I need my reproductive system fixed up. I need to get rid of some fire. It's not all that attractive, is it? Somewhat, depending on your skills and your physique and everything. Your charisma. Lucky we're good at charisma. But it's still energetically and subconsciously a need. And then we're going to get a needy person in return and attract that. You don't need that. It's a bit too difficult. So, first of all, we have to work on these bits. And then, how do we do that? Well, we want to get the bottom areas sorted, so then we can balance, because we're already strong up the top. Strengthen the weaknesses is where the real oomph comes in. So, the key words for Pitta people is alkalize. And these are lifetime lessons that we're going to be constantly doing, because we're living for our body type and our 5 element type as well. So, we naturally got a lot of fire, and we produce bile. So we are good at detoxifying, and that bile transports all heavy metals and gunk and all sorts of stuff out. So how about we make it easier on our body and alkalize as much as we can, because I guarantee you, if you haven't fixed this and know about it, you're acidic. I didn't realize how acidic I was, because I was still eating very, very well. But until I focused on it, I didn't have a clue. And as a result, I was spitting fire at people and exercising too much, and then making myself worse and worse. Subconsciously, without realizing it. Then, at some point, most Pitta people will hopefully they realize as soon as possible, that because their spleen is, disconnected and not getting the nourishment and nurturing the feminine side, which we inevitably attract a nurturing feminine woman or partner, because that's the partner to the liver on the fire. But the thing is, because we're disconnected on that part, we attract a beautiful feminine nurturing partner, but then we get pissed off at them. Or we spit fire at them, because that's where our nervous system and our lessons are. So if we can align that, we end up with a fire person in ourselves that we attract, that has got a lot more further in our development and theirs as well. alkalization is a big factor for this. Green smoothies, kombucha, fantastic. What worked really well for me was, and feel free to give it a try, 3 days on green smoothies. My vision improved by 20% remarkably because I got so many antioxidants and alkalinity, which is exactly what we need because we've got a lot of sores and we've got a lot of fire. You know, what does fire do? It burns, it leaves charcoal, it leaves dark black bile. We can have stuck bile, it's really acidic. We need to get rid of that as much as we can. Liver flushes and coffee enemas are fantastic for that. So, next one, align. What we really need, well, everybody needs to do especially, is align their spine. Because that's the wood. And that's the fire. We really want to be burning the fire to get all the way down to the bottom of the body. And then we can get our nature time and our exercises, and it is working much more efficiently. So we can burn further down the body that we're not really aware of the problems we're going to have as yet. Because, oh, by the way, with a spleen deficiency, please check your iron levels. You'll find that they're usually very, very low for fire people because it's just been nurtured. It hasn't been nurtured and depleted, and massages are fantastic for that. Get that red blood cell count up. It's subconscious. We will not realize it until we go and get tested because we're told that iron deficiency means that we're going to be tired. And we're fire people. We don't get tired. We got a bucket load of energy. We can do everything all the time. Bloody oath can. And don't tell me any different. Know that one? So you do. I'm familiar with that too. My whole family is. And as a result, we go, like when I found out I was iron deficient, like significantly well below the recommended range, and who wants to be below recommended, below average? It's crap, isn't it? Especially for fire people who are competitive. I need to get that iron levels up now. How do I do it? So I went boom, 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 and did lots of things to fix the spleen. And I got that message about 5 days before I was running a marathon. So I'd done all that training, you know, running 10s, 20 kilometers and 30s on a regular basis. And I was iron deficient. This was just a massive mind bomb. Hang on, how can I be iron deficient? If I'm doing all this exercise and I'm like fire person, I can get everything done and I'm great, I'm awesome, I've got the shitloads of energy. This is the fire person thing we need to learn. Because it's subconscious spleen. And then what's linked to the spleen is the kidneys and urinary tract. Because red blood cells are out. So we don't really know what's going on below because the nervous system hasn't got those messages back to the brain. And we don't like that. Because we're competitive and we're excellent, you know? Okay, so yeah, liver and spleen. They're the big ones we want to concentrate on for. It took me a good year, maybe. And I'm constant. These are constant things we're going to be dealing with. So living for our body type and do the things that we need to do to align is absolutely wonderful. It makes such a difference when I started figuring this stuff out and actioning it more importantly. Okay, so urinary tract. You'll find as we learn and grow and that all that acidity that's been going on up here and then all the gunk in our intestines that we weren't aware of is usually very, very acidic. And we're going to get sores and we're going to get open wounds and things internally that we weren't aware of because we had so much acid that's just burning away. And of course we're likely to, most likely to get prostate cancer because our urinary tract, for all that acidity pushing down, there's quite a lot of acidity there, so we've got to get that out as efficiently as possible. But we don't have the water element to flush it out as much as we could. So urinary tract infections are going to be a big, big thing, and they are for everybody, just that we're lucky enough to have the fire to get to that stage to be able to burn them off. And this is a significant impact on your sexual health and your sexual beliefs and thought patterns and stuff, because again, the nervous system's not getting down there. So it took me a good 3 years of like spiritual development and detoxing before I started to realize, hang on, I need to totally focus on my urinary tract and reproductive system with all of my herbs and diets and lifestyle and detoxes and stuff. And I've been on it for almost 2 years now. So I get used to that because that's the area where we store so much of our stuff. And as a result, that's a spiritual chakra, our get it done energy, our creative energy. You know, how many times are we got lots of energy, we want to get stuff done, we know exactly what we need to do, but then we just get stuck. We want to get rid of that. And of course, we want lots of beautiful, sexy partners. Because we practice Tantra when you get to that. Oh, that's the other thing, is most people, if they haven't got to Tantra or having beautiful, spiritual, sacred, sexual encounters and experiences, it's generally because the urinary tract's lots of gunk in it. Makes sense, right? Oh, because, and then of course, if that's got lots of gunk in it, then it builds up to the kidneys. And then they're scared to be happy or scared to have pleasure. This is all in the body. It's all subconscious, but people are trying to figure out in their conscious mind, this doesn't work because it's all in the body. Okay, so after that, we're going to be dealing with critters. Luckily, we've burned off most of our critters, so we don't have as many as others, but urinary tract, we're going to have a significant amount. It's tricky. I've pulled out about 65 meters of mucus and critters and associated gunk so far, after like 4.5 years of detoxing and cleansing. I didn't realize there was that much there. Who knew? Now, because I'm seeing parasites and subconscious critters are so much controlling our subconscious mind, and then we project that into our world and say that those UFOs or those parasites or those reptilians are controlling our mind and controlling our spirit, and we also project that onto Catholic churches and then spiritual groups and things like that, because that's the heavy metals and the critters and the gunk that are coming out of that part of the body. Next we move on to heavy metals. Luckily we don't have as many heavy metals because we can burn them off. We need the water element and the kidneys fully functioning to be able to do that. Okay, and fungus. Fungus is not a fun guy named Gus. I can tell you. I can really tell you that one. Because we've got a lot of acidity and we're burning stuff off, you know, we don't get as much mucus as other people. We don't get as much viruses as some others do. Although, because if we're disconnected from as above and below, because we're here, then stuff can grow from below. Stored viruses, and that's responsible for those insecurity factors. In fact, a lot of gay men are really just got a lot of stored viruses in their butt. And they need those particular minerals and amino acids that is in sperm to both nourish and deal with those viruses. So, buttrition, that's what I'm calling it, is fantastic. Because if you can go from as above so and below, you get so much more nutrition, you will skyrocket. Because we're putting the wood up here. Woohoo! We're putting the wood up here. It's a bit of a tricky one. You got to get used to the whole idea. But because those viruses and those critters that are stored in that area get triggered, and they have an effect on the subconscious mind. And then we get a little bit scared of buttrition. Whereas really, Jesus did this stuff. It's the way, seriously, if you don't have buttrition, you will not get the gross consciousness. Like, you need to clear out that gunk and those stored diseases that are there, symbolized by the Kundalini snake wrapped around the serpent, or wrapped around the coccyx on the spine, and then you can get there. It's a tricky one. But you absorb 100% there, and 10% through the mouth, so 100% more, and we're burning off everything here. So how does it get further down? Simply doesn't. So, fungus. If you want to know if you got fungus, easy way to do it. You got moles. Alright, moles are just trapped fungus on the skin. And it's trying to get, and we burn off moles and fungus with the sun. You go out into the beach and you go lie out in the sun in the summer, and it's like, oh, you feel amazing. Because you're burning off mucus and fungus. And these moles are just trapped fungus getting in the way. They're trying to get between your fire and the fire outside you, and they haven't quite made it. Because we get a lot of it. Generally from stagnant bile and black bile. And anytime we're angry at somebody and we're projecting our masculine issues, quite often a lot of, say, lesbians or gay women who are simply got a lot of gunk in their liver and gallbladder, and they're producing black bile. So subconsciously they project from their right masculine side at men, and then they make up, whatever their stories are, they're projecting out at men, and then they go, no, I don't want men because I'm actually very masculine myself, because I'm coming from my right side subconsciously, my liver and gallbladder, and there's a lot of black bile. Black bile is in ancient Greek medicine is essentially melancholy or colic. So that person ends up being melancholy, and they're a bit pissed off and a bit bitter. When we're off balance, we know about bitterness, don't we? We're pissed off at the world, we're pissed off at church, we're pissed off at consciousness, we're pissed off at mum and dad. Why? because we're sad at ourselves or we're sad at mum. Now those stories, I'm sure you do. The way to get fungus out is a little bit more tricky, and it's a little bit more in depth. But the other big sign is like these moles, and there's a whole bunch on the back that I'm having treatments on. They're all along the gallbladder and liver meridian lines, because that's what Pitta people are dealing with most. Liver and gallbladder stuff. All fits in, doesn't it? So, hopefully, that turned out to be a bit of a longer path planned. So you can see how that all fits in, what you're dealing with now and what you're going to be dealing with in the future. And that's why it's handy to have a guide or someone who knows these things, especially when you study Ayurveda. It's amazing. It's like, got it all there in mind. Oh, yeah, totally. Oh, that fits in. I understand all that. Yeah, that fits in exactly for me. Then you change your yoga style or your exercise style a little bit. You have the supplements that you're getting towards the areas that are in imbalance that you might not be aware of at the current stage. And then we're strengthening our weaknesses, which results in bigger strengths, and then it refines our fire into a candle flame up to the third eye, and then skyrocketing further higher up. Because we're the example, we're the light. And I'm getting all buzzed up by that one. Thanks, consciousness. Top job.